Okay, so I got a lot of questions about what parts I have on the Jeep and what I think about them. Everything that I've installed there's already a video of everything for the most part. There's like one or two things that I didn't record, but we'll start from the bottom up, I guess. Suspension is AEV 2.5 inch with the geometry correction brackets, which make a really big difference, especially for braking. It brakes a lot flatter. Tires are 315 70/17 Cooper Discover STT Pros. They're on the factory wheels. I do have 1.5 inch wheel spacers from G2, which I don't recommend. They are made in China, and you can spend $10 more and get Spider tracks, which are made in the US. Let's see. Bumper. That's a Poison Spider Brawler mid with the optional skid plate on the bottom. I installed this without cutting off the factory crash bar and without relocating the factory little vacuum pump that's under there. That was a mistake. I should have cut off that crash bar and relocated that pump, because it was a real pain to get this on there. But it's on there and it's done. Let's see. Winch is a Warn Xeon 10S mounted on a Poison Spider winch plate. I had to use risers for this one, just due to how low the winch sits, so there's spacers under there. I actually just used the factory bumper brackets as spacers under the winch to raise it up a little. And I've also got a Poison Spider fairly light mount bracket that I cut up and made work with my bumper and winch, because these lights were too close to this hoop when the bracket was pointing forward, so I had to cut it and reverse it and blah blah blah. But anyway, Hella 500 LED driving lights. They're made so deep in China that I can't even read half of the writing on the wires. Not really recommended either. Let's see. Okay, so this is a ham radio antenna. Probably going to remove it. I don't use it enough to justify having it up there. Same with the windshield lights. These are KC 3-inch pods. I like them, but again, I don't use them enough to justify having them up there, and it interferes with folding the hood completely open and resting it on the top of the windshield, which is really convenient for working on it. This is all from work. Rock rails are factory, except I cut 1.5 inches off of the back to give room for the tires. Rear bumper is an ARB modular. I have mixed feelings. I'm not sure I really like it anymore. I wanted a bumper that I could retain the factory hitch, because I really like the factory hitch and it's really strong. And ARB allows me to keep that hitch, but I don't know. It's made in Malaysia. It's not made very well. I've had paint issues already. It's only a year old. And the fit wasn't quite right. Not all the bolt holes didn't line up correctly. I had to massage them open a little, and I don't know. I probably wouldn't recommend it, but it looks okay, I guess. I have the Terraflex HD hinge, and I use the factory tire carrier with a spacer that lifts it up 1.5 inches and pushes it out 1.5 inches so that the bottom of the tire will clear the bumper. And I also cut the factory third brake light and just screwed in these 2 pieces of metal that I got from Home Depot to raise the light over the tire to keep it street legal. And I have a CB antenna also back here. This is an Evo bracket. This is the only bracket I could find that mounted on the left side of the spare tire carrier. Everything else was on the right side, and I needed to use it on the left because the Terraflex hinge doesn't allow you to put it on the right side. So I think this is a 2-foot fire stick antenna. It's fine. I can get in the garage without it hitting. Outback Trailgater table, probably one of the best modifications. One thing I just did recently that I didn't make a video of was this Tuffy security console, rear console box. I don't know, I just threw it in like 20 minutes and went on my way. I didn't bother filming it. And a tool bag. I actually want to make a video about tools. Might do that next. Alright, also in the back I have a fire extinguisher mounted to the roll bar. No real complaints with the Velcro. It's a bar-tacked Velcro mount. It's okay. I don't have any real complaints. I do wish it would stay a little tighter. It has an issue with slipping around a little bit and rubbing on that on the soft top bracket, but it is what it is. Alright, inside I've got a cheap little Bofang ham radio, a Cobra 75 CB, and that little Bofang is tied to the antenna mounted on the hood. So it works really well, and I'm not too concerned about it being stolen or anything. I have the Vector off-road dash bar, and that's also probably one of my favorite modifications with the RAM mount, just because it's so convenient to have my phone right there. And up top, I've got my S-Pod. This is the dual LED version. I think it's the older one. I think the new ones don't even use fuses. They just use like a digital circuit breaker or something under the hood, but this one's great. It's worked fine. I've got the ARB compressor, rock lights, windshield lights, and bumper lights with 2 spares in the middle. Everything else is just stock Rubicon. Okay, the wind really just picked up, but under the hood, it's completely stock except for the S-Pod and the ARB twin compressor. The twin compressor I'm not very happy with. I've had a lot of issues with it. It's actually broken right now, so I have to pull it apart and figure out why it's not pumping up as quick as it used to. And then it's I got an AGM battery, but that's it for the under the hood. No cold air intakes or other nonsense, just stock engine. Also have the rock lights underneath. Forgot to mention that. They are KC Cyclones, and they're awesome. Probably another one of my favorite modifications. I've only had to use them 2 or 3 times, but I really needed them those 2 or 3 times, and they were perfect. They were great. Shout out to All Terrain Family Bronco Canyon trip. That's for you. Next modifications, I still want to get an Ursa Minor, but I can't fit into my garage if I get one, and that's kind of critical that I'm able to park in there. So for the time being, I still got the factory soft top, which is awful. If nothing else, I'd like to get a factory hard top, but it's not something I need immediately. I also have front and rear diff covers from Poison Spider that I want to put on. The rear is a requirement to do the Rubicon Trail with the Jeep Jamboree, so I have it. I haven't put it on yet, but that's coming up at some point. And other than that, I'm pretty much done. It's a perfect in-between of a daily driver and a very capable weekend wheeler. I mean, we drove it all the way from Reno to Moab and back after wheeling at Moab for a week. So, no issues. It's been great. I've had engine troubles, but that is standard when you buy a Chrysler. So, other than that, it's been pretty good. But next, definitely something with the hardtop. I definitely think a hardtop would be the next major modification, if you want to call it that. But that's it.